In racing, safety comes first, and today safety is more important than ever. Introducing Sanacor by Silverthorne Industries, the safe and powerful way to stay protected. Sanacor offers hand sanitizer in bottles or convenient single-use packs. Safe, powerful, Sanacor.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody. WFO, Joe Costello here, and we are live on Facebook and on YouTube and on Twitter and all of these things, and we're going to have the first of our champions on this show, Don Schumacher Racing's Matt Hagan, scheduled to join us just minutes from now, and he's loaded up with all kinds of interviews today, and so we're going to try to get him on the show as best as we can. Of course, those of you out there on the Facebook, you're welcome to put your comments and questions for Matt, and we're going to keep on trucking. We're going to keep on rolling and see exactly what goes on. Before we go any further, though, I do want to send a shout out to a lot of the WFO universe out there and the people who make it possible for us to do this show, like Silverthorne Industries and Sanacor. You've been hearing a lot about SanacorUSA.com, and some of you have ordered the hand sanitizer and you've reached out to me and say that you love it. That's great. I would encourage all of our audience members to do that. The gallons and, of course, the packets. It is great stuff. Also, talking about samtech.edu, had a great interview with Judd Massengill yesterday, and he gave the whole story about he and Linda, how they met and they started the school. You're going to have to listen to Hidden Horsepower. That'll be up in a couple weeks, I think, on the show. But the bottom line is, what a great family, what a great school. And it all started, right? Necessity is the mother of invention. Like, they needed to hire guys and they couldn't hire anybody that they felt was good enough to do what they needed to do. And it was like, man, there needs to be a school for this. And boom, they made the school. And they've been going since the 1980s. Pretty amazing. Samtech.edu. All kinds of great advice on that Hidden Horsepower podcast. But it's, if you want to learn and you love cars and you love mechanical things and you want a job that's not going to be outsourced or taken away, well, come on now. That's exactly what we're talking about. Samtech.edu. And Total Seal Piston Rings. Speaking with Keith Jones and listening to Judd and Keith kind of geek out on machining and whatnot was really cool. Ring seal is obviously very important. TotalSeal.com. Go to their website. You'll find all the Hidden Horsepower podcast and some of the great content being put out by Lake and Lake Speed Jr. And we talked about Matt and the season they had, but what does it all mean? Judd had a great line, which I'm obviously going to have to pull the line. But if, 90% of the best are using this product, you should be using it. Simple as that. Just success leaves tracks, and those tracks lead to TotalSeal.com. So if you're building an engine and you're just using off-the-shelf rings, you're making a big mistake. TotalSeal.com. Massive critical error. Also, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure. The November 20th adventure is not happening. It's canceled. It's a bummer. But what I always like to say is this is a great gift for you, for your family, for your loved ones, for the adrenaline junkie in your fam. You can get a certificate and then present it to them, and they decide which adventure they want to go on, and they have the whole next year to do it. I think this is the ultimate gift idea because people love fantastic experiences, and that's exactly what this is. So go to frankhawley.com, find out more information, and do it. Get on it. Send somebody on the Dragster Adventure for the holidays. And, of course, nitrofishracing.com, where you can get the WFO Radio t-shirt and gear and 20% off using the promo code WFO20. Speaking of holiday gifts, thinking about the holidays coming and Black Friday, load up on that Jason Line gear, Bo Butner gear, all that stuff, the WFO Radio gear, and have it. And something we sell right on our own website is, of course, the face coverings for just $10. $10, you get a face covering, you get some stickers, and I even send you a special message. Simple as that. All right, we got people queuing up, getting ready, and I see the 2020 Camping World Drag Racing Funny Car World Champion, a 3-time world champion, down there in the green room, and he joins us now. Mr. Matt Hagan, what's up, champ? You did it.
Hey, brother. How you doing, man? It's always good to talk to you, Joe.
It's good to talk to you. And we've had this conversation now. This is the third time. The Matt, you just won it championship. I know how meaningful these moments are as a competitor to be able to deliver for Don. This is a weird one, but I've said from jump that this might end up being one of the more meaningful ones because of all you went through to get it. So talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, to start that off, Joe, I mean, I think like it's got a different feel to it for sure, because basically this year has been like one of those old school years a little bit. Like, you show up, there's no resetting of the points. It's just basically you run as hard as you can every weekend. A lot of times with this new countdown format, these crew chiefs, they'll take half the season or the first part of the season when it's cool or whatever, and they'll do testing. They'll try different things, and we'll because that as long as you make that top 10, that those points get reset and divvied back out, and you got those last 6 races to run. Whereas this season, first of all, it started and then it stopped after two races, and you didn't know if it was going to start back up, and then it did. I didn't, honestly, I was very hesitant to see. I guess I just wasn't sure if it was going to happen all the way up until the week before. You know what I mean? Like, because you had Force that basically said, hey, we're not going to do this, and we're not going to run, and we're going to park for the year. And that's a big entity of of drag racing, and
sure,
Force and Coletta and DSR and all those powerhouse teams. And you're going like, is this going to come together and shake out? And sure enough, we started off and, we did all the things that we needed to, with taking the temperatures every morning and wearing the mask and signing releases and signing the waivers and, social distancing and all that kind of stuff. You really have to go above and beyond what you normally would do, to go out here and race. And mentally, you don't know when it's going to end. You know what I mean? We weren't sure if we were going to end in Houston. We weren't sure if we were going to go to Vegas. There were several races in between that got canceled the week before. And, people call you and they're like, man, I booked my flight and now what do I do? And, just a lot of stuff going on, and just a lot of uncertainty, So I think that in itself, mentally, for as a driver, as being a part of a team, you just, you're just taking it day by day and week by week and seeing what happens. And, on top of sponsorship, I mean, there's a lot of great sponsors out here. And, I'm really proud of Mopar and Dodge and SRT and all the folks there under the FCA umbrella that said, hey, look, we're part of this. We're going to be out here. We're going to activate. We're going to have a midway. We're going to, put on a show for people. We're going to, engage the fans that are allowed to come into these stands and sit and have fun and give them something to do in between rounds and stuff like that. So really proud of them for, not being scared and not being like, taking that approach of, we can't do anything and we're just going to furlough all our people and we're just going to sit here and wait this thing out. I'm not that type of person. I like an aggressive approach, like, hey, if we're going to do it, let's go do it. Let's take the safety procedures that we need to, that is asked of us, and let's go live life. You know what I mean? And that's what those guys, I think, were doing. Same with NHRA. I was proud that they were, hey, we need the fans in the stands, and hey, we're going to make this happen. And we're, and we went to the places that were okay to do that, and we got it accomplished. And we had a great season. And, to have the stands behind, the fans behind me at the finals and pumped up and ready to go and cheering you on. I mean, that means everything to me, man. You know what I mean? So it's, I can't imagine racing without them.
It's one of those things where, and Alan and I were on yesterday, and we kind of talked about it, that a lot of the fans, I don't even know fans, people behind the keyboards didn't give credit where credit was due. And they even called out like, oh, you guys are going to cancel the season. You're not even going to try to race. You're just going to give up. And NHRA said no and did it. You mentioned Dodge. Think of all the races that they moved their sponsorship and they were flexible. And it was just a Herculean effort to get to this point. But you won the title. You had a great car right from the beginning. I remember speaking down in Arizona. Like, we talked a lot about that before the race. And you just came into the season with a strong outlook.
Yeah, I mean, that was a long time. I made a mistake in round 1 and hit a cone. I brushed the cone. It didn't even knock it up.
Low ET of the event. Remember that? I bring up the worst moment of the season for you. I'm sorry.
Me anyway, but make a mistake, but it's just one of those things. I guess in 13 years, that's the first time I ever really hit anything. And, but that's going to happen. And that was just a long time to sit on it for 3 or 4 months, before we went racing again. So, but you push all that negative stuff out of the way and you only look at positive things. And I think like that, having that mindset has really helped me, deal with pressure and overcome some of these situations and rise to the occasion and stuff like that. But, doing it in an environment that's just very unknown right now, I was proud to be a part of it, man. I'm proud to be a 2020 champion. You know, I think that it shows that how much you can overcome adversity versus, you know, don't get me wrong, when we have our regular season, and I've won 2 other championships the other way, you know what I mean? And they're hard to get. There's no doubt about it. Like, you know, good or bad, ups or down, all these championships are hard to get. But I just feel like this year, as people, as Americans, we have to overcome so much, you know what I mean? And businesses and, you know, sports and just relationships and everything that COVID has put on us and taxed us. You know, it's just very challenging. And to see my guys work hard and wear the mask and can't breathe and, you know, just sweating and, you know, just all the stuff that they had to do and go through to make sure that we were still, you know, going rounds and staying safe and, you know, all that stuff. I'm just proud of my guys for doing what it took to get it done.
Well, when you want something, when you want something badly enough, you're going to do whatever it takes to get it. And that's really the drag racer mentality. And you guys did it. And there's a lot of things going on. I want to talk about the race because it's always a big deal when you can win the championship and win the final race, because there's no doubt, right? There's only one winner at the end of the season. And we're talking to you about winning the Dodge Finals. We're talking to you about winning the championship. That makes it nice and easy. You get through Terry Haddock and set up a big battle against Paul Lee. And that's the round where things really turned because Beckman was out early, and now Tommy on the other side of the ladder, and Tommy goes out, and that's it. What'd that feel like?
You know, it's weird. I feel like, you know, we set up on the good side of the ladder. We were actually supposed to run Terry Haddock, and then somebody DQ'd, right? And then
yeah, that's right.
Cruz. So Cruz is kind of a wild card, man. You never know, you know what I mean? Like, he's a good leaver, he's a good driver, he's a world champion, you know. So lining up against that car first round is definitely not what you would consider an easy draw, you know, by any means, you know, because Cruz can hit it every now and then, and, you know, and especially he can leave, you know, when he's working hard at it. And so I rolled in the first round going like, whew, you know, we already got a hard one ready to go. And then, you know, watching that second round, or, you know, that first round matchup with Jack and Paul Lee, which I was looking at Paul's number. His reaction times were great all weekend. His car was running good. You know, and the way they qualified and everything, I mean, Paul was supposed to win the race, you know what I mean? So, and which he did. He went out there and took Beckman out. And then, you know, me and Paul had to run second round. And, you know, when basically they said, you know what, you got to roll in here and go to the final and the championship's yours. Well, that's a tall order to fill in funny car. I mean, like, it's just, I know like the DSR cars have been going to the finals every weekend, but it's changing it up between four cars, you know what I mean? So, it's, you know, just to say, hey, you just got to roll in there and go to the final and you win a championship. That's sometimes in funny cars, it's hard just to win first round, you know? So I knew we had to have a really good day, and things had to fall our way. I felt like we were on the good side of the ladder. I mean, Tommy really had a lot of cars stacked against him. I mean, he had, you know, I guess he had to go through, Caps, and he had to go through, you know, who was that before him?
Over there, JR and Wilk were on that side of the ladder, and Tasca was on the side of the ladder. And by the way, assuming that the ladder that I'm reading on NHRA.com is correct on that side, because it wasn't correct on your side, but that's a different story.
Our changed because of DQ deal.
Right.
Other than that, yeah.
Okay, well, but, you know, Tommy ends up, you know, having to go up against Caps and setting up that critical battle, and comes up short to Caps. And, you know, they were racing for their own thing over there with the whole Eric Lane nightmare tragedy situation. I know that Ron and Ron wanted to get a win at the end of the year, but that sets up the final round, you and them. And you had won the championship already. And tell me a little bit about that, because we have speculated, and I don't know if it's true, but that maybe Steve Torrance, you know, the edge might be off, right? Like you won the championship. Is it hard to stay like right on that ragged edge of competition when the big thing that you're fighting for has already been won and now you're going into the final?
Yeah. I mean, I think that was honestly probably why I had a 110 light against Caps. You know what I mean? Like it was, don't get me wrong. Like, you know, like even racing a Lexus after we knew we clinched the championship, I did like an 8th mile burnout. You know what I mean? I knew I'd probably get in trouble for that. My crew chief wasn't really happy, but like we just won the championship, and it's not that I didn't care. I was just excited. And, you know, when I'm strapped in that car, that's my little hot rod. So it's kind of mine to do what I want with, you know what I mean? And, but it's still nice that I got to do a big, long, smoky burnout. I wanted to do a lot longer one, but I figured, you know, the boss man might not be happy if we lost that.
Well, after what happened to Robert Hyde a couple of years ago, like the long burnout thing is kind of out the window. So we got some people on Facebook asking questions, et cetera, and so on. Like Steve, what does he say? He says, Steve says, you're looking a little skinny, Matt. I think you need to start working out. Obviously, that's a joke.
Yeah, we got 4 months off, 4 or 5 months off. So, I think like the biggest thing for me is, it's easy to work on your physical appearance, right? Like, obviously what you eat and all that kind of stuff, but I really want to take this off season and work on the mindset of things, and really focusing on bringing, your mental game to the table all the time. And I think that we're all talented as athletes and gifted in different situations. And, every individual's got his own thing that he kind of brings. But I think most professional athletes, what separates them from being great and just being another athlete is bringing their mindset and that mind game to the table and being able to work on that, and deal with pressure situation. Because this year was the first year, I wouldn't say the first year, but I felt a lot of pressure this year. You know what I mean? And I usually don't, you know what I mean? It's just kind of one of those things where I don't know if I just let my psyche kind of like spool up too much, but I ordered this big old like filet, like this Wagyu beef, right? Like $180 filet, right? And
I love this.
Vegas, I'm gonna chow down. I'm gonna get some good meals in me before I go racing. And I was so nervous, man. I couldn't hardly choke this thing down. You know what I mean? And I was just like, wow, it made me want to step back and just go like, all right, what is making you nervous? How are you dealing with this? Just trying to break it down for myself to where, that when you're back in that situation, maybe I approach it a little differently or I deal with the pressure a little differently because, when you start minimizing it and making it small, then you're just like, oh, this is all I can focus on. But for some reason, I kept worrying about what Jack was going to do or what Tommy was going to do. And then that let me get my nerves going and then my heart rate would get going and then I could feel anxiety. So, and that's just being human and being honest. And, I could love to sit here and tell you like, oh man, I was cool as ice and didn't worry about nothing, but that's a lie. You know what I mean? So being real and figuring out what are triggering those things. Why is my body responding to it that way? And then what do I do to make it better in the next time I'm in those situations? Because what we do is always a pressure-filled environment, right? Like there's no do-overs. You can't make mistakes. You have to bring your A game. You have to leave on time. You have to keep it in the groove. There's just so many things that you have to do, and so many things that you can mess it up. So my thing is really, as from this year, I want to take what those trigger points were that made me feel that way, mentally, physically, everything that I was doing, and figure out, why, what, when, and where to make that better. You know what I mean?
I do. I know what you mean. I want to know where you got this steak, though. When Matt Hagan goes to a steakhouse to get an amazing steak in Vegas, you have a lot of choices. So if you don't mind sharing, which steakhouse do you go to?
Oh, the Cut in the Venetian. It was pretty good.
All right.
Yeah. So it was, obviously I would have enjoyed it a lot more probably today than I did then, since I'm not nervous now. But
did you take it to go at least like this?
No, I choked it down, man.
All right.
There, you know what I mean? But I just didn't enjoy it because my for all that food,
I totally understand, and I respect the fact that you put it down anyway, Matt. You did the right thing there. You did the right thing. So you win the championship, you win the race. Caps blows up in the final round. That was unfortunate, but now you're the champ and Dodge and all of that stuff, and the season is over. And Don Schumacher has a perfect season, 11 for 11, a streak that is actually longer, that goes back to your 2019 win, I guess, in Dallas. And that has never happened. No one team has won all the races in a season. Now, of course, this was a little shorter. To do it for 24 races seems really impossible. But 11 for 11 in a season, a total sweep of DSR, and you guys are the top 4 in points. Speak a little bit on that. There are people who love Don. There are people that respect Don, but don't like the fact that he wins as much as he does, right? I don't know anybody that...
I mean, you look at it, of course, he won 10 in a row, right? Like 10 years championships and stuff. And, you could pick that apart and say, hey, like, well, there wasn't as much competition, or you just overspent everybody. And, are those 10 really legit? But what makes them legit on those 10 years that he won back-to-back titles is everybody and anybody had a chance to show up and compete and go out here and beat him. And, those years that he did all that, he earned it and he won it. So, I mean, I'm sure people say, well, Force wasn't there and this and that. And I wanted Force to be there. I mean, we spoke several times about that, of how I felt like as the man that he is and what he's done for this sport, at least should show up and show out a little bit, whether you're racing a car or not, and I've got nothing but mad respect and love for John, but for what he's done for this sport, I wanted him there. I wanted to be racing against him and Robert both, you know what I mean? I don't want there to ever be a question of what we did or what we didn't do, but at the end of the day, it was his choice to sit at home or whatever it may be, sponsorship or whatever it was. He wasn't out there, and so we battle it out with the folks that do show up, and DSR, for the end of last year and this year has dominated in funny car, and and they haven't done that in dragster, but they do in funny car, and we're those crew chiefs and those parts and people, those teams, they take it very seriously, and I like I said, I'd put it up against the best of them. And you have the Colettas out there, you have everybody, all these other funded team Wilkersons and all these other folks that are really good racers, you know what I mean? So to say we didn't have competition is you're shorting a lot of really good racers out there, so I'm just proud of what we've done. Proud of what there is to come. Obviously there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of variables that are, to finish out this 2020 and into 2021. But at the end of the day, I think that there's a lot of folks that want to get back to what we used to have normal life and go out here and do things and race and, sponsorships. And, so I think that one is there, the need is there. It's just a matter of getting this election behind us, and, sponsors are feeling like they have a direction of what their company and corporations are going to go in. And, and then once all that kind of happens, I think you start focusing back in on your race season for 2021 and just trying to get focused and motivated and bringing in new sponsors and new B2B stuff and working behind the scenes like we always try to do to keep ourselves out here. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing a lot of fans don't realize is they think it's just a guarantee that you're going to show up. You've been driving for Mopar for 13 years and you're going to have Mopar. But there's been plenty of times that I'm not sure whether I have a ride every year or not. You go through the off season and, all these things have to happen and have to come together for you to still be able to show up there and test in Phoenix or show up there and test, in Vegas or whatever it may be. And, so that's the reason that I work so hard behind the scenes with my cattle company, with my CBD business, with other businesses that we have here, with my family and stuff like that, because you have to have something to fall back on. You know what I mean? I love drag, but at the end of the day, it's, the fairy tale will end one day, you know what I mean? And you need to set yourself up. And I hope that, by doing so, maybe my businesses one day can help support what I want to do out here as far as driving a race car. Not quite there yet to where I have my own funding in my own car, but we're working really hard in that direction. And hopefully one day I can be a part of that and keep things moving forward because of that. But it just takes a lot of work behind the scenes and a lot of planning. And, I got 27 people right now on payroll, and, me personally, and, keeping those people fed and, those payrolls, coming in every 2 weeks. It's challenging in today's time, so, all the racing aside, with my 10 guys there that that I love and care about, I still got this other entities at home that people depend on me to do and keep going and stuff like that. So it's always interesting, and you never take anything for granted. You're always just humble and you work hard, and, you're just the next best thing. But I think it was still very fierce competition, 1, 2, 3, 4 to finish funny car like that. I think it's amazing. I mean, there's a lot of good racers, a lot of good sponsors, a lot of good parts and pieces out there that other people were trying to beat us. And we just kept showing up and dominating. So hats off to DSR and Don, like him, hate him, love him, whatever it may be. He's put together an extremely great team of 4, competitive funny cars that have just gone out here and dominated.
Absolutely. And listen, it's entertaining. Next year, we got 5 months now. The Gator Nationals, the first race of the 2021 Camping World Drag Racing Series season. That's a fair amount of time. We got a lot of time in the winter break, but we're going to try to get all this, COVID situation either behind us or under control so that we can go do what you said and have more fans, maybe full fans. Maybe there'll be a vaccine. We just don't know. We just got to get to that point. And now we got 5 months of break. All right, let me ask you a couple other questions before we go. Obviously the guys, Mike and Alex and Dickie, and you have got a really great team. And I think about how they tell me when I'm out there, how important it is, and they feel like a team and a brotherhood, and this has got to be great for them. They've got to be so stoked to go into this offseason. That's number one. And number two, the new Camping World Wally, the championship Wally, it's like a new look Wally. Camping World comes in and we got new look championship Wally, and you're the first guy to have it. I got to say, I like it with like the background thing and all. Definitely unique as far as championship Wallies go.
It's heavy too, man. That's another thing. I was like, when I lifted it up with one hand, I was just like, ooh, like it's got some. So, yeah, that's it's cool, and Tom Patsis, a guy who used to work with DSR and kind of like raced with him a little bit on the bike stuff. And, he designed that. So, which was really cool to see it come full circle for a guy like that you worked with to be building the trophy, and then you win the trophy. And, so it's like we got up there and, Beckman and Tommy and all those guys were rubbing it. And I was like, I ain't touching it until I win it. You know what I mean? But it just kind of, it's a awesome trophy. And I do want to say thank you to Camping World. When Coca-Cola pulled out in the middle of their contract and just said, hey, we're not going to honor what we've signed up for. I think it's junk. You know what I mean? But like, that's my personal opinion. I'm entitled to that. But, but the other side of it is that how great is it to see like Camping World to come in and see like, here's value here. Here's, we're going to spend money in this pandemic and this unknown times. We're going to sign up for NHRA, and because there is value there. So that was huge to me to see, like within a week's time, to have another, series sponsor in this pandemic and this unknown time, that someone's going to throw money into a sport and sponsor. So thank you to Camping World and all the folks that do that. Plus it makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's a lot of, you know what I mean? So a lot of sportsmen racers, a lot of folks that are spending a lot of money out there to run around the country and do what we love. But that being said too, with my guys, I'd love to sit here and tell you like this championship is because of me and that I won it. And I'm the greatest, but it's come down to my guys. I mean, they have done a phenomenal job. I've just not messed it up. They put a great race car underneath me. This Dodge SRT Hellcat has just been running like a Hellcat, man. Like it's just been on fire, and it's one of those things where it all comes back down to your core people, man, like your group of guys, and that's really what I've been very lucky is I've had a very good group of guys that work very hard every weekend and weekend on and weekend off. Win or lose, they're still digging at the shop and they're still working hard. They're showing up early, they're leaving late. Same with Dickie Venables, man. The guy's, he's a legend of the sport, been out here forever, and he's still out here. He's so involved with it, man. It becomes his life, you know what I mean? Like he's so just in it, and so, just so proud of those guys, and then this whole COVID thing happened and, they got their pay cut and they got their, no bonus money. And, and I pulled my guys together 5 races ago and said, you know what, man, I'm still going to get a cut of this bonus or whatever it may be. And I was like, I want you guys to have my bonus of whatever, if we win this championship, so I gave all my bonus money to my guys, to keep them on board, to give them something to work for, you know what I mean? To give them some drive, to keep them there. I didn't really know what else to do. I mean, most of them, there was 3 or 4 of them, they were like, well, I'm quitting and I'm going to go drive an over the road truck, or I'm going to go drive a dump truck. I'm going to do this or do that. Like, I didn't know what I needed to do to try to keep my guys. I mean, I did it for them, but I did it for me too. I mean, I wanted to keep my guys, and so I think it gave them some inspiration to know that like, if we got to the championship and we won a bonus, that they would be able to get a little something back. You know what I mean? So that was big for me, that I was able to round them up and say, hey, look, if you get us there and we make it and we win, you get to have what I was going to earn off the car. So, and I think that they respected that and it meant a lot to them.
Yes. And even if they didn't, the money still spends. I love it. Just want to point out, we've got our own Tom Patsis Cold Hard Art designed trophy back there for our WFO Radio Fantasy League. It's not as challenging to get as a Camping World Drag Racing Mellow Yellow Camping World Drag Racing Wally. But Tom is an insane artist. Like, he's one of those guys that's incredible. I did not know that he designed the new Camping World Wally, and that is great news. I appreciate it. Matt, final thoughts before we let you go. You've had 2 other opportunities to go back-to-back in championships, and it has eluded you because it is very hard to do. You've got another chance now in 2021 to try to put together a couple of championships, because, winning 1 is hard. Winning 2, it's incredible to do it. Becoming a 3-time champion is rare air now. It puts you with a very elite group in Funny Car, 3-time winners. But boy, back to back, that would be nice.
I'll take a race win, brother. Let's start there. How about like Don? Let's just go out and qualify at the first race, and I think when you keep it in that perspective, I mean, everybody says that, but that really is what it comes down to, is just like, don't let it get ahead of yourself. Just, my championship in 2011, when I won it, 2012, I didn't qualify in Charlotte and I didn't win a race that year. So I've been on that, you're on top of the world this year, and the next year you can't, hit your butt to save it. And, just kind of one of those things where that's why I get back to why drag racing is so humble. You know what I mean? Like it kind of, you think you're this awesome, team and caliber, and you've done all this, and then you come back out and not qualify or not win a race. And you're just trying to keep your sponsors happy and do whatever it takes, from going like, we did it all and we won it all, and, we're the best, so, how fast the tides can turn, you know what I mean? So I think like you have to just understand, you got to still work hard in this off season, work on your mental, your physical, all those games, work on your sponsorship, bringing B2B, I guess other new sponsors in to do business to business and different things like that. And whatever, just don't stop hustling, man. I think that's the biggest thing that I can take, and I've learned from being out here and seeing people come and seeing people go, is that, when you have something that's great, like Mopar, Dodge, SRT, Pennzoil, Sandvik, all those sponsors, you can't rest on those laurels, man. You have to still go out here and find new sponsors and put new things together and find a way for them to make money between each other. So I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of our fans don't realize, what we're doing behind the scenes during our off season, is that we're out here grinding, whether I'm still in the field or on a tractor or whatever, doing my other stuff, but you're still finding new relationships and putting new things together to try to, work with different companies and different entities to keep it going out here. And I think like that has allowed me, to be out here so long, bringing new things to the table and having new sponsorships, like when we had Rocky Boots, and then, we're bringing on Holland, and, just different things here and there. So as much as I'd like to say, hey, it's over and I get to take a break, it starts again today, man. You know what I mean? As far as the grind goes, and working on everything just to kind of keep things moving forward in the future.
Matt, congratulations. Thank you for making the time. You're the first of our 2020 champions. The Parade of Champions is a big thing on WFO Radio, and we always encourage our audience to stay with us in the off season. A lot of people kind of take a break. We keep the show going. We dig into the stories, and got a chance to speak with you a few times this year. You fought hard. You did a really great job. You brought it. You took down that stake in Vegas. I'm proud of you, bud. Good job. Congratulations. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So hopefully three this year, hopefully 4 next, right?
There you go. Just like that. And it's amazing how it's been happening. The champions, right? Erica 4, you 3, Matt 4, Steve 3, like multiple champions for each racer. It was just the cream rise to the top this year, and you were the guy. So congratulations, Matt. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, there he goes, Matt Hagan, with us here on WFO Radio podcast, of course, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. For people watching on Facebook, you can listen to all of this on the podcast when you're driving, so you don't have to pull over, you don't have to watch, you don't have to see me. You can hear me, of course, and those of you listening to the podcast right now, it was great to have Matt. All right, get your comments in the comments section. Saw some good comments from Matt, and just super, super excited for Matt. Matt Hagan has been... First of all, there's nobody that's been a problem coming on this show. We've been doing this now for over 10 years. The live stream component that you're watching right now, if you're watching, is relatively new. But we have been a podcast. I worked at XM for a while. I did talk radio in Miami. I've never had trouble getting guests. But Matt has always been extremely revealing in his commentary. You heard he said some things right there. He thought some things were crummy. He thought some things were good. He has his opinion. He's entitled to his opinion. He's never been afraid to say what he thinks. There have been some times where he tried to get a little smack talk going, and the car just, it was one of those tough deals, right? Like the weekend you decide to talk a little smack and something breaks and you lose. It just kind of looks a little dumb, but he's done a really good job. And I think he represents the sport very well when he goes out there. And when you bring him around like the stick and ball guys, right? Matt Hagan is our guy that can hang with those NFL athlete guys. Like, hey, he's the, if we have to have like a big fight against other sports, he's the guy we send in there. There's a couple others, but he's definitely one of the guys. That's a joke, people. I don't condone violence. All right. He mentioned those B2B relationships, and I was thinking the whole time, you know what? He's right. He's right. We got to keep the B2B relationships going, like folks like Silverthorne Industries and Sanacor. Go to Sanacor USA on Facebook or SanacorUSA.com and order up some hand sanitizer. It's a cold and flu season. You got to stay clean. It's 80% alcohol. It does a great job. They come in bundles where you get the packets like we've got over here. I love showing off the Tom Patsis Cold Hard Art Trophy, by the way, which somebody is going to get their name on that trophy after this coming weekend in our WFO Radio Fantasy NASCAR League. Also, Nitro Fish Racing, Bo and Randy Lynn with their Bo Force One scheme was super cool. You can get a discount on all their stuff. Use a promo code WFO20. Really appreciate them. They've done such great things. Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. If you're building a bracket engine, you're building a Pro Mod engine, you're building a stock eliminator engine, if you've got an air compressor, if you've got a tractor that you just don't know what kind of ring could possibly be in it, they do all of those things. Go to TotalSeal.com. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, Dragster Adventure. Alan Reinhart telling us about Tony Stewart going to Frank Hawley's. And I just love the idea. I think it will be a great gift for the adrenaline junkie in your family. And if you're, a husband whose wife doesn't quite get your racing addiction, maybe you send her on the Dragster Adventure. You guys go together, or vice versa. Share the experience. Go on the Dragster Adventure for the holidays. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Start your education at full speed. If you want to become the next generation of crew members, crew chiefs, or otherwise, they start you off straight. Engine builders, of course. Marvin Rodak, 817-924-6821. Hot sauces and spice rubs. Everything good. That's Marvin. Check him out. And those are the sponsors. Also, get yourself a WFO Radio face covering for just $10. You're going to want one. Cold and flu season. You're going to want to be repping WFO, of course. But and I'll throw in some stickers, but if you just want the stickers for free, you just got to send a self-addressed stamped envelope to P.O. Box 848-353, Pembroke Pines, Florida, 33084, care of Castello Media /WFO stickers. And I'll just put some in there and send them back. But the face covering is a much better deal. All right. Before we get on out of here, who else are we going to talk to? I'm working on Erica Enders. Obviously, Matt Smith was on yesterday, so we'll let Matt simmer on his championship a little bit. Steve-O a little bit. Got to get Antron in here about the race win. And we're going to go WFO through the offseason. We're going to go through the offseason, and let's see what everybody has to say now. Post your comments. Let's see what you got to say, and then we're going to bust on out. Like Scott is already hyping the 4 months till the World Door Slammer Nationals out there at Orlando Speed World, and then the Gator Nationals. I was looking at the schedule a little bit. It's a long way away. I should be able to get some things done during this winter break. It is a longer than usual winter break, but we all want things to get back to normal. I want to go back to packed racetracks. That's what I want to go back to. I want to go back to packed racetracks is what I want to go back to. Let's see what else. We got all these. We're on Twitch and getting all these weird Twitch comments. Let's see. Great hearing from the champ, Matt, today. And Matt, when he won his first championship, and then he mentioned having such a tough year the following year. This guy is one of our great drivers. He's one of our great levers. He is an athlete. He's a, obviously weightlifter, bodybuilder, fitness type. But when you win 3 championships, that says it all. Let's see. Dave, great show today. Joe, thank you very much. Dave, we have got a poll question in the WFO group, and it's going like wildfire. Who knew that putting up great poll questions is the way to get everybody to comment in the WFO group? If you're not in the WFO group, there is a page, which I want you to all love, the WFO Radio, NHRA Drag Racing, NASCAR, and Motorsports podcast page. It's a very long name, but it tells you exactly what it is. But also, we've got a group, and the group is kind of fun because it's user-directed. I just moderate, and it goes in all different directions. But this is the poll question that I put up. Which do you think was the best championship story of 2020? And the leader with 85 votes is Erica Enders' 4th Pro Stock Championship. Second, with 18 votes, is Matt Hagan's 3rd Funny Card Championship. Third place with 17 votes, added by one of our viewers out there, Brian Prince, says NHRA creating the Bo Butner rule for political stickers. Next is Matt Smith winning his 4th motorcycle championship with 17 votes. Steve Torrance, third Top Fuel championship in a row, only 14 votes as best story of the season. And then Matt and Melinda added DSR running the table and Funny Car, only 2 votes. But what does that tell you about DSR and Torrance domination? People are not surprised by it. People are used to it. And it's as simple as that. But there's all kinds of great conversation going on amongst our listeners and everybody having a good time on that. All right, final comments, and then I'm out of here. Let's see. Ricky, love the face covers. Very comfortable. Yes, they are very comfortable. They're good. I wouldn't put them in the dryer, though. I would wash and let air dry. But yes, they are very comfortable, and they protect you a little bit. And you repping WFO when you got them. So simple as that. Firebird Joe, thank you very much. Got to get her done. I do. I got to work on my own car, man. That's a plan. Rich Vreeland, Mickey Thompson, Top Fuel Harley Davidson racer out there. Hey, all the Harley drags in Gainesville this weekend. Top Fuel Harley. Are you there, Rich? Are you racing? Go Top Fuel Harley. I love those guys. Greg says, great show. I think I saw that one earlier. And this guy saying, hey to Rich. Monica saying, thanks for the great show. Derek says, we need Stevie Fast. Yeah, I would love to get Stevie Fast on the show. Stevie's been on in the past, but he has not been on since we've been doing the video bit. So there's all the more reason to get Stevie on the show. The Parade of Champions has begun. The archive is loaded. Alan Reinhart, myself, Matt Smith yesterday. Matt just joined from the road. The Ignition Podcast, high-level entertainment, final NASCAR race going on in Phoenix, Arizona this weekend. Who will get their name on that trophy? Cold Hard Art, Tom Patsis. It's 85 pounds. It's got DSR, Hendrick Motorsports, and Penske Racing parts. And the winner gets their name on the trophy every year. Pretty cool. My name is on the trophy. Some people think there's an asterisk there, but there's not. I won it fair and square. All right, everybody, keep your head on straight. Have a lot of fun. Be ready. There's a good chance we'll jump on here tomorrow with another champion, so just follow the page. If you watch on YouTube, subscribe and click the bell. And if you haven't checked out WFOradio.com lately, hit it. Past Matt Smith Racing on Monday. Very good. All right, everyone, thanks to Allie at DSR and Matt for jumping on the show. And we're going to have ourselves a great off-season. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you. And thanks for joining us here on WFO Radio. Thanks to Matt.